How y'all doing? I'm Paul Ryan, your host of the Across the Cowboys podcast. If you're new to the show, thank you for joining us. And to our regular listeners, welcome back. With me, as always, is my co-host, the greatest co-host in the world, Mike the Pig Crum. Mike, how are you?
Doing good, man. The band's back. We're all three back together. Another threesome for me, Paul, and Brenden.
I'm going to fast forward before things go too off the rails. Mike, where can we find you on X?
At CD Piglet, guys. Nice and easy.
Yes, guys, and of course, no show is complete without the conductor of the Jake Ferguson hype train, Mr. Brenden Fergy Smith. Brenden, how are you?
Doing fine. A little weirded out by Mike, but I'm used to it by now. But yeah.
Brenden, where can we find you on X, my friend?
You can find me at Brenden_Smith26.
Yes, I am Paul Ryan. You can find me on X at Paul_Ryan15. Well, here we are with episode 4 of our off-season series, Cowboys Crystal Ball. Last week, the guys discussed weeks 10 through 13 with Ariana Nappin. Unfortunately, we don't have a guest this week, so you guys are stuck with us. I will say it does feel good to have the band back together. This week, we'll be breaking down and predicting weeks 14 through 18 of the Cowboys schedule. We'll start off with week 14. In week 14, we're facing the Bengals. And in 2023, the Bengals' regular season record is 9-8. They missed the playoffs, and their 2024 strength of schedule is tied for the 16th easiest. A key stat from the 2023 season, despite Joe Burrow missing 6 games, the Bengals were top 15 in touchdowns scored in 2023. Mike, you look at this Bengals team, and what are some key offseason additions?
Did Burrow only miss 6 games last year?
Yeah, he played 10 games. He had a really slow start.
Like the first 5 right. Weeks. He was kind of injured at first and was trying to play through it. That's right. There wasn't, to be honest, there wasn't like huge additions. Well, figuratively, I mean, they did add Amarius Mims, who is an enormous human being, but we don't know. He could be, he could not start the first year. Who knows? Zach Moss, I really like analytics-wise. It's who I wanted Dallas to go after. I think he's a really good per-carry guy. Now, we got to see what he's going to be like if he has 200-plus carries in a season. And they also got Mike Gesicki, who with Joe Burrow typically does well with the average, above-average level tight end. So, I would say that would be the closest to a big addition that they added.
Brenden, was there anybody you wanted to add to that list?
Nah, because the Bengals didn't really make any splashes, honestly. So I none of them that really caught my eye other than the ones that Mike said.
Mike, I thought you might say Sheldon Rankins, defensive tackle.
Is he though? Like, let me see what he can do. Maybe my thing is when you lose DJ Reader and you bring in Sheldon Rankins, it's like you didn't do as well, in my opinion. I think DJ Reader is a better player. Was DJ Reader? I think he was Bengals last year and then went off. I could be wrong about that, but I think he was. So going from Reader to Rankins feels like a back step.
Well, Mike, I know you mentioned DJ Reader. Was there any other offseason losses that you thought were substantial in your opinion, Brenden?
Mine was Joe. Other than Reader, it was Joe Mixon and Chidobe Awuzie. Both of them going to AFC South teams, which was very odd. But yeah, losing them too is pretty gross.
Where did Awuzie go?
Tennessee.
Oh, that one kind of slipped off my radar. I didn't even realize that he moved on from the Bengals. That is a pretty. I shouldn't say substantial, but that's a loss for sure.
I'm a Cheeto fan, so I've always have been. So I kind of keep that where he goes.
Yeah, I always liked Cheeto as well. I thought he was underrated here in Dallas. Another, maybe not a big loss, but will probably be missed early in the season. I think is Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, they have so many receivers. That's that.
Yeah.
But name-wise, Boyd, it's always better to have more weapons. Boyd's a loss. Reader, they brought in Rankins, but I think that's a back step. Mixon is a better name than Zach Moss. Going into this next year, we'll see, when Moss kind of gets a elevated amount of carries, if that's a big loss. I think Bengals for the most part, stood pat. As long as Burrow's healthy, they should be about what they were last year.
Agreed. I would agree with that. Mike, and the loaded AFC North, where do you rank this Bengals team?
Assuming Joe Burrow's health and Jamar Chase's health, obviously, and if they have Higgins playing, I would have them second behind the Ravens. I think Pittsburgh, I'm not a big fan of Russell Wilson anymore. Got to see it from Justin Fields. I think they overachieve because they're well coached. They also have always, for a long time, gotten significant beneficiary of the officials, So them at the 9-win mark is not that big a deal. And then I got to see with Cleveland. They had kind of a special year. Defense typically doesn't you can't stay an elite defensive team year to year enough to carry a Joe Flacco or something. And I don't know what Deshaun Watson is at this point. I mean, they were better with Flacco in than him. He just may not have it anymore. So I got to see them. So I got him second.
What about you, Brenden?
No, that's right where I put it. But I put the Steelers. So it goes from worst to first. It goes Steelers, Browns, Bengals, Ravens. Ravens did way too much this offseason to just hey, they're going to go down to the Bengals. They're not. But also, I could just go on and on about how I despise Deshaun Watson, but I'll save that for just a different time. But yeah, that defense will be good. Nick Chubb will probably be the main reason if the Browns make any noise. But yeah, I say they're easy second.
With a healthy Joe Burrow, I would say it's almost a tie between Baltimore and Cincy, but I'll give the edge to Baltimore for sure. Agreed. So Brenden, in his first 3 seasons, Burrow led the Bengals to the Super Bowl and AFC Championship game, and he was playing against Mahomes both times. When healthy, is Burrow competing with Mahomes as the best quarterback in the league?
I think so. There's a lot of quarterbacks you can go back and forth. Of course, we all know about the top rankings of quarterbacks, so we have to debate them every week with people trying to put Dak at 15, or some people try to say, oh, he's up here. I'm like, you actually got to do it. Burrow's talented, man. He, of course, when they went to the Super Bowl, they had Jamar Chase as a dominant rookie. That O-line was atrocious, borderline not playable, and he still balled out. He is a special player when healthy. I love watching him, so, of course, hope he's healthy the entire year. But him with Chase and Higgins, that's just gross.
What do you think, Mike? Is there a competition for the number 1 QB in the league between Mahomes and Burrow?
I wouldn't say a competition but he would be my 2. He would be my second person when healthy. I think Mahomes is tier 1, but the only guy that's talking about getting in that tier, if he was healthy this year, went in, made another Super Bowl, win or lose, maybe beat Mahomes again, I think you would talk about him in that tier, especially if he beat Mahomes and then won a Super Bowl. I think he would enter that tier with him. But he's not. He's 2, but there's room between them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget that Burrow was one questionable call away from beating Mahomes and going back to the Super Bowl and back-to-back seasons in 2022. I mean, not a lot of people can say that,
Yep. I agree. He's a stud, man. He's a beast.
He really is. Mike Taylor wasn't a well-known coach outside of being part of Sean McVay's staff, and he's had a fair amount of success in the postseason with a 5-2 record. But in the regular season, he has a losing record of 37-44. Is Taylor quietly on the hot seat in Cincinnati?
It's going to depend on he won't be on the hot seat if Burrow's injured again. He'll be on the hot seat if Burrow plays and they're not winning. Then he'll be on the hot seat. But it's going to depend on Burrow's health.
What about you, Brenden? Do you think Taylor might be on the hot seat this year?
I don't think he is. Mike's got a nail on the head right there, but it doesn't matter because most of the time Burrow's been hurt or one of their star players has been hurt. Jamar Chase missing time. He made Baron Browning look really good last year. There were still people were talking about QB controversy, which was stupid, but he was making enough competition for that. Higgins has been in and out. I don't think he's on the hot seat because they'll look to injuries, but their team full on plays and then they stink it up at the end of the year. you'll have a different conversation. But I don't think he's on the hot seat. Next year, though, if they stay healthy, then yeah.
Yeah, I'll agree. I don't think he's on the hot seat because he does seem to win when it matters, that being in the playoffs. So as long as Burrow's healthy, I think Zach Taylor is going to be safe, especially if they make the playoffs again and make another run, which I wouldn't mind seeing because I actually think, it's easy to root for the Bengals. I think they have likable players.
Yeah, I agree. Unless they beat us, then for like a month I won't want to talk about them. But
Exactly. So, Brenden, as great as Burrow, Chase, and Higgins are, it always seems if one of them goes down, their entire offense becomes somewhat dysfunctional. Do you look at this Bengals offense as one-dimensional?
Passing, they are a passing team. Even with Mixon, whenever he was here, they were a passing team. That's why Samaje Perine was getting so much work in the third down back roll. But yeah, if you lose one star, either Higgins or Chase, the team knows where the ball's going. Chase is out, the jump ball's going to Higgins, and they're just going to double cover, or you do for Chase. So it is one-dimensional when it comes to passing. I don't think they've ever had a running game, at least for as long as I've been alive.
Oh.
So yeah.
Not a big fan of Joe Mixon, huh?
He just didn't do anything. They didn't scheme for him to actually work. They gave him carries, but nothing to where oh hey, this is what we're going to try to enforce on first down or anything. So nothing's scary at all.
Very poopy O-line. Their offensive line, hard to run. We saw it last year. It's hard to run if your O-line can't move people.
Yeah, did you have any additional thoughts on the Bengals offensive, Mike?
No, I think Brenden nailed it.
Yeah. So, you looking at this matchup, Mike. If you were Mike Zimmer, who would your focus be on stopping on the Bengals offense?
Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is CeeDee Lamb level good, and the way you might have to do it is assuming by that time Trayvon Diggs is doing well. You do Trayvon Diggs on Higgins if possible, and then do Deron Bland and a guy over the top on Chase, and tell Bland you could jump stuff underneath, you'll have help, and try to make him have to attack Diggs against Higgins. That would be my plan.
Brenden, what about you? Is Jamar Chase your answer as well?
Yeah, he's so dominant, man. He came in the league dominant, and he still is.
When I was kind of looking at this question, man, I feel like Jamar Chase and Tee Higgins are the easy answers here, and they're definitely not the wrong answers. But because of when we're playing this game and at this point in the season, I'll say Jermaine Burton is the one who we'll have to watch out for. He might not be somebody who we need a game plan against, but he could be the guy that makes those plays that could be back-breaking plays like third down conversions or possibly even like a touchdown that puts him in the lead late in the game. I think Jermaine Burton is going to quietly have a really, really good year.
I don't disagree.
A lesser-known player scoring against the Cowboys? Get out of here. That never happens. Come on.
You talked about, here in a month or so, Brenden, the not being a Bengals fan because of them playing the Cowboys. But when you look at this game in the point of the season, and as good as the Bengals are in a game of this magnitude, how big of an advantage is it that Dallas is playing at home?
Dallas playing at home in general has been a huge thing in the McCarthy era. We were talking about that huge win streak we were going on until things that we don't talk about happened. But we were talking, because the stadium gets into it, whether people like it or not. I know most fans are bougie there, so they just want to sit down. But it does get loud and all that. And so playing in Dallas is huge. You're playing Cincy late on in the season. It can be colder. Dallas hates the cold. We play awfully when that happens. Yeah, playing in Dallas is huge.
Mike, what about you? Anything to add to that?
Yeah, it could be the difference between winning and losing the game. Better weather, you're on your track meet field. It also lets your defense go faster, and their O-line is not great. I don't know how much they want Amarius Mims on Michael Parsons. So, yeah, I think it's an advantage that Dallas is at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you, Brenden, I said that it was huge that Dallas is playing at home in this matchup. Mike, do you like this matchup for the Cowboys?
Yeah, I do, because the stuff that the Bengals do well, we typically defend well. We like teams that can pass. We can get our pass rush on, try to get turnovers with our corners. They don't have an O-line that should even move us, even though we have some spots that might be movable. I feel like we could match up well enough versus their run game. And defensively, I don't think they have anything special that would scare a top offense like ours at home. So, yeah, I like this matchup for Dallas.
What about you, Brenden?
Their defense can't stop our offense. The only thing that can stop our offense this game is us. So, you can say that for most games, but no, I think our offense will steamroll.
Yeah, that's what I have it as well. Brenden, who wins this game?
Dallas. Like I said last show, I'm only going to say it with two teams, either San Fran or KC. Those are the only teams that are going to make me actually hesitate. I'll say Dallas because I'm never going to be the guy that says against them.
Mike, how about you?
Yeah, I have Dallas winning this one. Tough game, but I like them at home.
Yeah, after an extended break, playing at home, I think the Cowboys win this one as well. Dallas takes them the home victory here in Week 14. Moving on to Week 15, Dallas Cowboys at Carolina Panthers. In 2023, the Carolina Panthers were 2-15. Of course, they missed the playoffs, and their 2024 strength of schedule was the fourth easiest in the NFL. A key stat from 2023, the Panthers didn't win a single road game. Mike, did the Panthers have any offseason additions that you liked?
Wide receiver, I believe Deontay Johnson came over this year. If it was last year, I apologize.
This year.
And I just loved him. I wanted Dallas to go after him. He just knows how to get open. And then to add that to Leggett, the rookie wide receiver they drafted, I like those additions for Bryce Young. I think they're important.
Brenden, what about you? Were there any players or acquisitions that you like?
I would say Brooks. I'm not the biggest fan of Brooks. I'm so happy Dallas couldn't take him, to be honest with you. That actually made me really happy. But early, of course, we don't know what his health is completely, but early on running backs, they usually tend to do pretty well. Their O-line isn't completely terrible because I like Icky on the left side, so they can run it there. But other than that, no, not really. He got it with Deontay Johnson, which was a huge one.
I think the biggest addition for me is head coach Dave Canales, or Canales, however they say it. Kind of a quarterback guru, pairing him with Bryce Young, who is probably the most talented quarterback he's ever had in his career definitely as a head coach and as an offensive coordinator. I'm interested to see how that matchup works out, or that pairing works. What about off-season losses? Were there any key off-season losses for you, Brenden, from the Panthers?
Well, this trade keeps going by me. If I didn't look at the show sheet again today, I wouldn't have thought about it. But Brian Burns, because that guy somehow is on New York. No one's talking about it really. I don't get it, but he's a huge player. But we're gonna go back to the Deontay Johnson trade, and we're gonna go to Dante Jackson, that corner they traded for him, because they're gonna hope. You're just praying to God J.C. Horn stays healthy. And who else do you have? They could sign Stephon Gilmore, and that'll just make me sad. But they have no one else. You're just hopeful that they have one good corner.
What about you, Mike? Was there any outside of Brian Burns any losses that you thought were substantial?
No, Burns is that one. You don't lose special pass rushers without it affecting your team.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. That's Brian Burns is who I had on here. I'm not really sure I don't even remember the package they got in return being that great either for him. Kind of a head-scratching trade by Carolina.
I'm pretty sure it was a second-round pick.
I know they said no to 3 firsts the year before too.
And then they traded for a single second-round pick?
I don't remember if it was – I thought they got a first.
I don't believe they got a first. Because they still have they don't have any first-round picks from the Bryce Young trade.
That's
I'm talking about the Giants. My bad. I still don't think the Giants traded. They already drafted people. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Y'all can come clip this and wow, this guy's just an idiot. I'm used to it. But I don't believe. I swear they got a second-round pick. Probably second and a third or second and a fourth. But I'm pretty sure they didn't get a first.
Man, that's crazy. Mike, we've seen Canales resurrect the careers of Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield. How much success do you think he'll have with the player as talented as Bryce Young?
It's interesting because the one difference is those have been veterans where he could come in and kind of go, all right, you know what to do here. You've seen this. Watch for this. This is the type of plays you want to make. will it be different with a person who's only played one season? Will he be able to have the same impact? My guess is yes, he will, but it wouldn't be like, what? I can't believe it. Bryce Young must be terrible. It's different when you're dealing with Geno Smith, who was in the league a long handful of years, and Baker, who's been in the league a long handful of years and have kind of gone through and seen everything as earlier round picks who have had starts and kind of know what's going on more. They're more veterans. So we'll see what he can do with the young guy. He's definitely the most talented person he's ever had. We'll see how he works with him.
Brenden, what about you? What do you think of Canales and Bryce Young? You think that'll be a match made in heaven, or?
I don't think we're gonna see much this year. They still don't have any talent like that. Like legit or whatever, however you say his name. He's a good player, but they don't have that many pieces around him that will do much. Their offensive line, I said, is okay, but you're not gonna win games with okay offensive line. You have some key pieces, but that offensive line as a whole is not the best. And then you're hopeful Brooks stays healthy, but this season might be a lot more Brooks than what we probably think.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm excited to see what it is, but like you, I think there's just not enough talent to on either side of the ball to really get a fair evaluation of at least this year one. But the Panthers, talking about the Panthers, were one of the worst teams in terms of talent last year, and as good as Canales is with quarterbacks, how much better do you think the Panthers will be in 2024, Brenden?
I think they'll win a few more games, but nothing incredible this year. They got to get their draft picks back from trading up for Bryce Young, and that's how they're going to build being younger. They traded away their best player in Brian Burns. They have 2 players I can name on defense now because they lost Luvu, they lost Chin. They don't have much. That team is just mid at best.
I forgot they lost Jeremy Chin, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, because he's a commander, which we'll talk about later.
Wow. Yeah. Mike, what about you? What are your expectations for the Panthers in 2024?
They just need their QB to show that he was the right guy, and they'll be fine regardless of how many games they win. Just leaving this year knowing, okay, Bryce Young, we got our starting quarterback for the next 10 years. We got a good guy. We got a second contract guy. That's all they need to get out of this year.
I'm not really sure we can evaluate this team or Canales until the year 2026, to be honest. With as bad as lacking talent this team is. As a Cowboys fan, we know all too well how bad ownership decisions can hold back a franchise. Mike, how big of a problem is David Allen Tepper for the Panthers?
Well, they don't have Patrick Surtain. Instead, they have J.C. Horn. They don't have C.J. Stroud. Instead, they have Bryce Young. They missed 3 first-round picks for Brian Burns, and then traded him for a lot less than that 1 year later. So, yeah, he's not doing well. So that is cause for that is their biggest problem right now.
Would you agree with that, Brenden?
Yeah. Also, he's just not a great human being either, with pouring drinks on fans when he got pissed off. So all around, just not a great situation or a person.
Yeah, I'll have to say he's about equally as bad as Jerry and Steven as far as team building goes, but to pass on 3 first-round picks and then trade him for a singular second is absolutely insane. I can't get over that. You mentioned Xavier Legette earlier, and he was one of the more polarizing prospects heading into the draft. He's on the older side as far as rookies go, and he only had 1 good year in college, but he has all the physical tools you want in a player. So we kind of got 3 questions in one here, Brenden. The first one, what were your thoughts on him as a prospect?
The first off, when I first saw him, I more thought about his voice than anything. His voice being absolutely legendary. You look at that man, that's full on cool. Everyone's people can make fun of it. Why? That's awesome. But I thought he was a mid second round to late third. I didn't think anything of him. I didn't think Dallas was really drafting a receiver then. I was more hopeful they're going to hit on their pick, hit on different positions. So I didn't look in too much, but he's 6'3". He actually has some good speed coming out of South Carolina. So some people can say Debo just because they're lazy, but he's got enough size where you can be what you wanted Barkevious Mingo to be. But I think he was fine with being a little bit older. He's still 23. maybe 24. That doesn't hurt. So
Yeah.
I think it'll still be pretty good.
All right, Mike, we want to keep you awake, so I'm going to ask you all 3 questions here. So you have a reason to stay awake. 1, what were your thoughts on him as a prospect? 2, what was your reaction when Carolina traded up for him in the draft? And 3, do you think he'll have success in the NFL?
I do think he'll have success because his size and speed. He reminds me of Seattle. DK Metcalf, where he fell a little bit because he's not so polished, but he just has too much size and speed to not have an impact. I did think he got drafted a little early. I had a 2nd round grade on him. And I think he went, did they trade up in the 1st to get him?
Yeah,
was it
in the 1st round?
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit early. I thought he was going to go top 50, but somewhere in the 40-50 range.
Yeah, I'll just kind of go through these. I thought it was a bad move by Carolina trading up for him in the draft, and I think he has all the tools to be successful, but we've heard similar stories about older prospects in the past, and they didn't pan out, so I'm not really sure what to make of Xavier Legette, but I'm never rooting for any players to fail, so I hope to see him succeed, especially, I'd like to see good football, so I'd like to see Carolina do something this year. I like to watch, like I said, good football, even
his
if it's against the Cowboys.
Is elite.
I got caught off guard, and it was awesome.
I'll have to listen to that, man. I'll have to go watch a clip of that. I think I missed that. Mike,
you really haven't heard his voice?
I don't think so. No, I've heard Keon Coleman's, and that's it.
He's Southern, man. He is.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It is.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. So, a popular term, Mike, is in the NFL is a QB away, and after a strong finish to the 2022 season, it looked like Carolina was a QB away from getting back on track. Fast forward to today, and some people question if Bryce Young is the guy. What are your thoughts on Bryce Young?
I had C.J. Stroud ahead of him, but Bryce Young was right there. The only reason I had C.J. Stroud higher is because I liked his size. He was more prototypical. I thought both of them were talented guys. I think Texans hired a better coach and were set up better. I don't think Carolina was set up well for a quarterback to succeed. And he didn't. So I'm not going to kill him for that yet. Let's see how he develops now with Deontay Johnson, with Legette. Let's see what they can come up with building a team more around him.
What are your thoughts on Bryce Young, Brenden?
Honestly, my hit on the head, like we've been saying, this team's not that talented. It's more talented now on offense than what it was last year, but they're a QB away, and they just lose everybody. So it's now they're multiple positions away, but it's so hard to unless he's taking sacks 30 yards back, running around looks like he lost the entire time, then you still just can't judge that much. He showed a little bit of flash, but then he showed that he's a shorter quarterback who's a rookie.
Yeah.
So 2 years from now, then we'll be able to actually talk.
Right. Mike, does anybody on the Panthers scare you?
No, not without Burns there. Not without Brian Burns. I mean, I like Derek Brown, but our interior guys, we got 2 all-pro guards, so they should be all right there most downs. They don't have, Deontay Johnson's a nice player, but he's not, he's not CeeDee Lamb. He doesn't terrify you, so their secondary could make some plays. So maybe if you're worried about, some interceptions or something, but no, the answer really is no, realistically.
What about you, Brenden? Does anybody scare you, worry you?
Derek Brown, I need to see, of course, Cooper Beebe will be different, but I need to see a strong center because I'm so used to Biotis just getting his butt worked back to Dak. So once I see that, Derek Brown's a big dude with a lot of power. So anytime I see a big defensive tackle, I'm like, our scheme is going to run up right up the middle. So we're going to see if Zeke or anybody can try to get through. So
he's like the dream guy that I would, if you could add a person to this team.
Oh, switching out from Ozzie? Oh, dude, my thought on the defense changes immensely.
Yeah. our 4-man, I just did a rankings. I don't know how I got it done between remodeling the house and everything. But I finally, it took me like 2 weeks, but I got my defensive line rankings submitted to KD at Cowboys Wire a couple days ago. And if you put Derek Brown in for Mozzie, we might go all the way up to first. Instead, I think we were third in the NFC East rankings. Like, he's that impactful of a player.
Dude, Osa and Derek Brown on the inside with Micah and D-Law on the outside. Oh,
that's dude. That is Sam Williams all of a sudden becomes more of a weapon. Nealon becomes more of a weapon because you have to worry about the other guys. You know, you don't have a weak spot. Giants definitely number one on that. Jesus, the Giants defensive line.
Yeah.
Nasty.
So I'm thinking the title of this episode might be Derek Brown, the Clapper of Cheeks, is what I'm thinking we might name this episode here. So moving on here. You know, I have this as a trap game for the season. Do you view this as a trap game, Mike?
It could be. The thing is, if you played Philly or a division game or something the next week, it would be more. We play the Bucks. I think in terms of a trap game is just like they have 2 wins by that time and you're just overlooking them. It could, but it's not like a situational trap game. It's more of a trap game like, they're going to come out like it's their Super Bowl because they're going to have the most eyes on them that game playing Dallas. And I think that's one of the things that Tank talks about after the playoff game about fatigue. You get fatigued because every week, like you don't get to go, oh, we're playing the Panthers. Like they're going to play all out special plays. You're going to get the hardest Derek Brown. He's going to go all out. Pause.
No diddy.
We can call it the hardest Derek Brown. That could be the new title of the show. But yeah, so I mean, it could be, but situationally, it's not because it's not surrounded around a bigger game that would make you like you're overlooking it to look forward to the next game.
Brenden, how hard do you think Derek Brown's going to play for this game?
How hard will he be?
Hey, Carlos, appreciate you tuning in, man. Right as we're talking about the Carolina Panthers. Appreciate you, brother.
Oh, that's awesome.
This is going to be the hardest we've ever seen Derek Brown in this game.
Yeah. He's going to change his mind about the content the minute he hasn't gotten to this part where we're talking about hard Derek Brown.
So what happened to the podcast? What did get canceled, man? I have no idea. I got nothing, man.
It would probably be mainly because the podcast becomes, can Mike stay awake through whatever he's doing throughout the podcast? That's a weekly, is it possible?
No, but see, it's like a cool like guessing game where you can like gamble on it. It's like 50-1 odds if Mike falls asleep.
The remodeling the house is rough. It's
I wish we could put that on Prize Picks. Will Mike fall asleep during the podcast?
Dude, that would be awesome.
This is what, 4? How many episodes have we done?
Man, I think we're over 200 now, dude.
Also 4. I mean, everybody else is at 0, except for maybe that one Foots the King one. He might have been asleep in that one with Vach and everybody there. Everybody else is at 0. I'm at 4, but still percentage-wise, 4 out of 200. That ain't terrible.
Hey, there was an episode a couple of weeks ago, man, where I was like, "Oh crap! Did I just doze off?" So I feel your pain, bro.
I was battling it I was like the whole time, battle. But I'm up all night moving furniture and doing. But the place looks great. Don't get me wrong, but we just found damage that we have to have somebody come in and check. It's a lot. It's stressful, man. It's stress. It's your baby. So you're like redoing it it's crazy.
That Cowboys wire money hits different, man.
They just took the cap off of how many articles you could do. So now you're really going to see this is going to be me because I'm going to be up. I just did 3 articles before I came on. Oh, God.
What color Gatorade will the Cowboys drink week 1?
Podcast name change. All right, let's go. My fault.
All right, let's reset here. Mike, do you like this matchup for the Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean we're just way more talented. Let's be
Yeah.
real about it. This is one they should roll the helmets out and whoop some ass.
But man, my only thing about this is it's like we've seen it every year, even in the Mike McCarthy era, like late in the season, whether it's the Cardinals, it's the Jaguars, we always lose a game like this that we're not supposed to lose. That's my only concern. I'm not really concerned, but it always just happens.
It's not what day is the game? Because I will be November 5th, I'll be Disney World from the 5th to the 9th, and August 28th through October 1st, I'll be at Disneyland. So if it falls in there, be worried.
Can we just get a petition as like everyone sign it for Mike not to go anywhere during the season?
You can't keep me away from Disneyland. Look at my room. Look behind me.
I will do something, sir. That Cardinals game is still fresh in my mind, and I will never forgive you.
Derek Brown, bad. Disneyland churros. Brenden, do you like this? Do you like this game for the Cowboys? This matchup?
Yeah, I do. Like Mike said, we're too talented a team.
We lost the South Carolina guy, but he's gone. He's gone. We lost him. He's like, oh no, the milk's gone bad.
Dude, our first episode back with us, all of us together in like a month, and look what's happened, man.
Carlos, come back to us, sir.
Honestly, though, yes, we should steamroll, but like any bad team we face is a trap game, in my opinion, is a potential to be, because we're all like, okay, cool, we'll play like Dak to like the third quarter, then he's gonna sit because we're dominating so much. Why are we down by 10 with like 8 minutes to go? Let's go, Carlos!
Carlos, appreciate you, brother.
See, now that's what I call a fan right there. I respect you.
All right, Mike, who will win this game?
Dallas.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get. I mean, they just gotta win.
Brenden?
That episode on Monday will be a lot more depressing if we lose that. Brendan's bashing will beat everybody. I don't care if CD Lamb goes for 400 yards, Dak pops off, and we're still. Everybody's going. I'll be.
If we lose to Carolina, then I'll be coming back Monday from Disneyland. Because that's the only explanation for if we lose. Disneyland or Disney World, and I will be getting blamed.
We're all friendly here until that happens, and then it's going to be a weird podcast episode, I'll tell you that.
Mike, I should know this, but when you're in Disney, do you watch the Cowboys games, or like you're at the park all day?
I put them on my phone. I don't leave the park. I'm not somebody that leaves the park often. So I did watch the one game where I was gone and we won, but it was Seattle. Remember that crazy game? And I was Jesus, I'm going to get blamed for this. And then we ended up winning. But yeah, if I wouldn't have stayed in the hotel and watched, I swear we would have lost that game. It's the weirdest jinx in the history of friggin' sports.
Yeah, it really is, man. I thought you broke the curse, but apparently not. Let's move on to Week 16 here versus Tampa Bay. In 2023, the regular season record was 9-8. Their 2023 playoff record 1-1. They lost in the divisional round to the Detroit Lions, and their 2024 strength of schedule is the 5th easiest in the NFL. A key stat from 2023: Baker Mayfield was second among quarterbacks with plays of 40 or more yards. I believe he had 16. I found that impressive. Mike, looking at the Buccaneers, what were some key off-season additions?
It's Barton. You put Barton with Mock and Wirfs, and that's a pretty solid foundation for a offensive line. So that's it. That's really they didn't do much moving, winning or losing guys, but their first round draft pick was nice.
We're going to talk about their offensive line a little bit later, but man, that's pretty stout, dude.
Yeah, it is.
Was there any additions that you like, Brenden, by the Buccaneers this offseason?
Their offseason was mainly just retaining their own. I saw one of the only other outside free agents was like Randy Gregory. We're not going to talk about him in 2024.
They signed Randy.
Yeah.
He's going to do
nothing.
I didn't know
that, man.
He went to Denver. He did nothing. He went to San Fran. He did nothing. Like, he's just going to not do anything again.
Man, it's crazy.
Yeah, I just didn't hear anything about that. That's crazy.
I searched it up earlier.
This is an addition from the draft, but I thought Jalen McMillan, he sounds like he's been making some noise in camp. Could be a sneaky ad there, especially as the wide receiver 3, him and Trey Palmer. That's an interesting wide receiver group that they have there in Tampa Bay.
Their wide receivers are so good. I'll be interested to see how many targets he gets, because I mean they got guys, they got dudes to throw to.
Yeah, they do. And I mean another sneaky guy. I don't know. I think he's more of like still kind of in the developmental stage, but Raheem Jarrett is kind of like a sneaky guy who's like a slot guy, like athletic, smaller guy, kind of like a Tank Dell-ish type. So yeah, they've got a group of receivers there that could be pretty scary. What were some key offseason losses for you, Brenden, by the Buccaneers?
Honestly, they didn't lose much talent for me to really like worry, because they brought everybody back. They're gonna lose Levante David. Levante David's still there. Like, oh, Mike Evans could go out. He has to get some money. Maybe you go to an actual contender. Nope, he stayed pat. Oh, Baker Mayfield, they're not gonna pay a quarterback after that. Oh, they did. So they're just the most normal. I'm gonna keep saying, but the Panthers can be at their best mid. The Buccaneers are just mid.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't consider White I didn't think he played very well for them. To be honest, he was bad. So that might be addition by subtraction for them.
Yeah, I think the only substantial loss or potentially substantial loss would be the loss of Canales, offensive coordinator. So. Yeah, Tampa Bay did a good job this offseason, kind of keeping all their own guys. Are the Buccaneers actually good, or was last year a fluke, Mike?
They have enough talent. I don't know if I call them like because I think Dallas is good, and I think Dallas is clearly better than Tampa, but they're not. They don't have the Niners roster. They don't have Baltimore's roster. They don't like the great rosters. So I wouldn't say they're a fluke. They feel like a team that will be in the NFC South race and maybe make a playoffs, but they're just good, I guess. Good.
They're kind of like the Jaguars of the NFC.
Yeah, I just don't feel like they have they're not a good team, but they weren't a fluke either. They have enough players to be right around that playoff range in an okay division. So I would say in the middle. I would say it wasn't fluky, but it was. They're not a good team either. I think they gotta get Baker to play up to the level he did. If he can't, then it becomes fluky, because it's like he had a fluke year. But if he plays, above average quarterback, they'll be right in there in the playoff race.
What about you, Brenden? Do you think Buccaneers are actually good, or was last year a fluke?
They're that's fair. That's any game we play though. Hope we don't stink up the place. That's the greatest thing about being a Cowboy fan. You're just hopeful. But for the NFC South, they're good. Like, they're going to be competing with the Falcons. If the Falcons didn't get Kirk Cousins, I would say the Buccaneers would win the division again. But it's just going to be them two. The Saints and the Panthers aren't going to do anything. They might upset the Falcons or Bucks a time or two, because interdivisional games, any team can win on a given Sunday. But they'll be right up there, 8-9 wins, pushing a wild card. Like, it's the NFC South. What else do you expect?
All right, well, let me ask you this, Brenden. Do you think the Buccaneers got better this offseason?
I would say yes, because they didn't lose anybody, and then they got Barton. But they're like you said, their offensive coordinator leaving could hurt, but like they kept almost everybody. So Barton, I think, does move a little bit. That more protection for Baker than having to run around as much always helps.
What about you, Mike? Do you think the Buccaneers got better this offseason?
I think they're about the same. It'll depend on the play of Baker. If Baker plays as well, they'll look better. If Baker plays worse, they won't look as good. They didn't make enough moves, because even as good as I believe Barton will be, he's still a rookie center. I don't know if that's going to be like all right, we got Barton, now we're going for a big push.
They just didn't lose. They just didn't lose anyone really besides White. So like that's what I'm saying. Purely talent for a second, you just add a player compared to like not really doing much. That's why I said they got better. But it's not like the bar is moving this high. It's just that.
Yeah. They got marginally better.
Yeah.
Got a question from my guy Carlos here. I don't know if you guys travel to games or not, but are y'all going to be in Charlotte or Atlanta for any of the road games?
Only
I'm
way I
in
go to
California,
games,
man. I'm in Cali, dude. So traveling to those spots is hard for me.
Going to a road game is definitely on the bucket list. You know, Atlanta would be a fun game to go to. I don't know if I'd want to go to Charlotte just for the game, but I've heard Charlotte's actually a nice state to go visit, you know, for the scenery and everything. So that'd be kind of cool for like a little family vacation, but I will not be at any of those games this year.
I have to write too. So it makes, you know, but like you'd have to take the oh, that's tight, dude. I would go if I was able to, but I'd have to take the laptop, you know, you got to get the article done like right after. It's, you know, I sit here and watch it in front of my TV more. You know, that's more my thing than going to the games.
I'm 21.
Carlos, if you stick around long, yeah, you know, Carlos, if you stick around long enough, you'll learn Mike's superstition for the game. So I hope you stick around, man. But I hope you have fun at those games as well.
I have some weird ass superstitions.
You know, we're talking about the draft, and I thought the Buccaneers quietly had one of the better drafts in off seasons. Are they still the best team in the NFC South, Mike?
They're right there, man. I mean, it's them in Atlanta. Which quarterback plays better, Cousins or Mayfield? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, can Atlanta's defense duplicate how well they played last year, and then add an offensive mind that knows how to use anybody on that great, well, what should be a great Atlanta offense? You know, we'll see. If you made me pick, I would probably take Atlanta to win the division, but it's not one where I'd be like, I'm not betting on it. I wouldn't be confident in it. It's close.
Yeah, what about you, Brendan? Are the Buccaneers still the best team in the NFC South?
I think the addition of Kirk Cousins, at least for the regular season, they're going to be better. And also, Bijan Robinson in year 2, I think he's going to. Yeah, I think. Well, if Kyle Pitts gets used, so Kyle Pitts is the greatest what if in NFL, just because we have no idea what he can truly do because no one wants to use him. But no, dude, Robinson's going to kill, and Kirk Cousins like I haven't had this. Dalvin Cook was pretty good, but dude, he's going to be a beast.
Yeah, he really is. How much of a challenge will Dallas's D-line face going up against Tampa's offensive line, Mike?
It's going to be rough. That Malcolm Barton in the middle going against whoever is playing one tech for us, hopefully Mozzie, and Osa's undersized. He plays the run tough, but he can be worn down. Micah Parsons going to give anybody trouble, even worse. You're not going to move DeMarcus Lawrence in the run game. There's certain things we'll be all right at, but it's going to be a battle. They're going to be able to do some things against that Dallas D-line.
Yeah, and I feel like if you're not able to really get pressure on Baker with those receivers, man, it could be a long day for the defense.
Yeah. It is. That feels very much like a blitz game. Like a Zimmer show people in the gap all day and try to make Baker Mayfield make mistakes.
Yeah, and Baker's pretty mobile, man. We haven't seen him scramble a lot the last couple of years, but at Oklahoma, man, he's a mobile quarterback, so he can run on you as well.
Yeah, agreed.
Do you like this? Is Tampa's running game or passing attack a bigger worry for you in this matchup, Brendan?
Passing game because they're talent, but their offensive line makes me worried about the run game. Talent-wise, it's passing game all day. Dude, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Cade Otton, who I don't know I forgot his name, Cade, but Otton's a good tight end.
Cade Otton, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, that worries me, but any team running the ball scares me. Unless Mozzie can just show a little bit, and everyone's gonna be happy because we haven't had a one tech besides Jonathan Hankins do anything in the past 8 or 9 years. Yeah. So just give me something here. So I would say run game just because I'm always scared of our team running the ball.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, Rashad White and Bucky Irvin really scare me more than Mike Evans and Chris Godwin do. Like Jalen McMillan or Trey Palmer is probably going to be the one that will go off that game, but I could see Bucky Irvin and Rashad White just having games that week.
Well, we have defenses that can go. We have Deron Bland, we have Diggs, we have dudes that can go up against their passing attack. We're worried about that O-line moving the middle of our D-line and getting those running backs through. So, on in Madden, you'd say the passing game, but in a real football game where you're like looking at matchups, that rushing attack could be a problem.
For sure. Do you like this matchup for the Cowboys, Mike?
Yeah, I do. I think Dak's a lot better than Baker. He's another level up, all pro type quarterback. Baker Mayfield's never been that. Their O-line is good, but our defensive line and the way Zimmer plays will get disruption. And I like our offensive matchup versus them. Like I like Vita Veda, but what else do they have on the defensive line that's scaring you against the run? Where if we're trying to push on them, the other way. So, yeah, I like this matchup. I like the matchup versus the Bucs.
I'll never forget, man, when Vita Vea got picked one pick before the Cowboys in that draft, dude. I was so excited thinking the Cowboys might take that full.
I was happy only because I never believed they'd take Vita Vea. And I knew that if he got there and they took another player, I'd never forgive whoever that player was that they picked. I would not have cared who it is. I'd have hated him. I'd have been like, yeah, but he ain't Vita Veda. So
right. Shout out to Leighton Vander Esch, though. Gone but not forgotten, man.
I wanted Roquan so bad that draft, dude. I was wanting Roquan more than anything.
We knew who the pick was for months. That's what sucked about that. And I'm like, I mean, he's all right, but he was like clearly like a second to third round like player. He wasn't, especially
his rookie year. Hey, his rookie year though, that was something special.
He was great. But if you knew the neck issues, you knew what was coming. Like,
yeah.
Well, let's get off that before we all get sad. Mike, who will win this game?
I'm going Dallas at home. I just don't think they're as good. If it was a road game, maybe I'd be more worried, but I think we're a better overall team. We have a better quarterback. We're at home, Dallas.
Brenden, how about you, sir?
In Dak Prescott, we trust. Dallas.
Yes, sir. I, too, have Dallas winning this one as well. This is interesting. We've all three games so far, we've had Dallas winning. So I'm curious to see how the rest of the schedule plays out. Here we are, Week 17 at Philadelphia. If you listen to the most recent episode, you heard all of the record from 2023 and their key off season and things like that. So we'll just jump to some questions here. And you're looking at the Eagles off season, man. Did they have the best off season in the division, Mike?
In the division. Why did I think in best in the division? I mean, it's close because they spend a lot of money on a running back. I don't know if I would be like, oh, what a move. Like if you told me, do I want Dallas to have Rico Dowdle and Zeke? No, but if you told me, hey, you either get Rico Dowdle or Zeke, or you got to go out and pay $14 million to Saquon Barkley, I'm handing the ball off to Zeke and Rico Dowdle all day. I ain't paying running backs that anymore. That's just a negative move. If you haven't learned that at this point, like I don't know what you're looking at in the NFL anymore. So and then you switched out Bryce Huff and Hassan Reddick. I think Huff's a little bit better player, but not like both of them are similar. They lost Kelsey, they lost Fletcher Cox, both to retirement. Like if you look at the Commanders, got a head coach, got rid of the horrible owner, spent a bunch of money on talent that could make plays in the league, solid starters, had a good draft, got their quarterback that they wanted. So I think I got to go Commanders on that.
Interesting. I like that answer. What about you, Brenden?
I guess you can say talent-wise, you might be able to go Eagles because their draft itself was great. Yeah. But the Commanders built a roster basically through this free agency. Like, are all these moves they did, are like they're going to blow your mind? No. But they're going to make you a lot more competitive than just sitting on your hands just doing nothing, like what Dallas did. So I have good Commanders.
Yeah, I like that. I actually had Philadelphia, as my answer for this one, but hard to overlook what the Commanders did for sure, especially just from the coaching, the new coaching staff and everything.
And it's something when you see Philly and you go, they have the best offseason, it's because we're looking at it from they're a top 1 or 2 team, like they're or 3 in the NFC, but top 1 or 2 in the division. Where clearly there's a drop off between us two and the Commanders and Giants. So when you look at it, you're like, well, yeah, Commanders had this great offseason, but in the end, they're the 3rd team. So it's easy to go, well, they had the best offseason because they were already high, and now they're attempting to take it over the top. So looking at it from that perspective, you could see where Philly would be number 1.
Yeah. With the additions of Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, bringing back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and already having James Bradbury and Darius Slay, is the Eagles' secondary better than the Cowboys, Brenden?
I still say no. Of course, it all depends on Diggs' health. That is the biggest key. But Jaron Kearse's cooked ass is gone. Diggs is healthy. You have a player who broke the record for NFL pick sixes in Deron Bland, who balled out last year and coming off another year, so he's going to learn more and all that. You have Lewis, which I'm so happy to talk positive about, after me dogging him for so long. And you have him in the slot going, well, maybe I'll get Gilmore, but Malik Hooker's a good free safety.
Donovan Wilson.
I was more thinking about Marquise Bell because he's going to be the bigger safety to come in the box with Donovan Wilson. But yeah, I still say our secondary is better. They're too young, and I still see CeeDee Lamb cooking every single one of them. So
don't sleep on Wanya Thomas either. Sounds like he might be taking Donovan Wilson normally Cooker's starting spot, which is crazy to me, man.
Yeah, he could. There's no loyalty from Zimmer. He could just play the best guys.
Yes, sir. Mike, what about you? Do you think the Cowboys still have the best secondary in the division?
Yeah, because the problem with Philly is they have way too young and then going out the door. Like Darius Slay's still solid, but nobody's comparing him to a Diggs Bland All-Pro. James Bradbury had his shocking All-Pro year, but then was bad, but unplayable bad. They're talking about moving him to safety bad, the next year, and we can't just go, oh, he was an All-Pro. If a guy comes out and is that, I'm not saying you got to be All-Pro, but you can't go to I can't play anymore. He was that bad. Yeah. So that, and then who knows what those young guys are going to be? We don't know. Jordan Davis 2 years ago, I thought was going to be an absolute monster. He was one of my favorite players in the draft. He's been bad in his first 2 years. He's not been a good player for them. So just because you're drafted early, or it feels like, oh, what a steal, this guy fell. Nakobe Dean fell to the 3rd round. The Eagles got him. This guy's going to be unbelievable. What a steal. Well, no, he couldn't play. Jordan Davis didn't work out. That unfortunately, you don't know with those young guys, and that mix with the older veterans that just aren't playing as well. I don't think their secondary is that great, let alone compared to ours, where we got a couple of All-Pros and a lot of depth and good players all over the place.
Interesting, yeah. I can't argue with that. Is this the game of the year, Mike?
San Francisco for me. We beat Philly all the time. That ain't nothing. Like division games, Dak is elite. Say what you want about his playoff, this and that. Division, he's Pat Mahomes. That guy is a killer. So, it wouldn't surprise me if we swept them. That's not a thing. So not for me.
What about you, Brenden?
No, that's what we talked about 2 weeks ago. It's Texans is gonna be the most fun game for me to watch. I think that's gonna be two monster offenses going against each other, which will be fun. But no, it's San Fran. It has to be. If we win that game, I don't know how I'm gonna feel after not acquiring almost any new talent. And I was like, oh hey, we beat the team we couldn't beat. I'm gonna be in shock, and I probably won't talk that much on the podcast. So y'all should really want that.
Zimmer would be the difference.
Dude, I wouldn't know how to react. I'd be annoying as hell on Twitter.
Finally, we did it.
I don't know. It's week 17, man. Both of these teams are going to be really, really good, I'd expect. At this point in the season, man, to me, I think this could be the game of the year. Maybe not for Cowboys fans, but in the NFL, just because of potentially this could be for the division. I mean, this could have a lot of, we could potentially maybe get knocked out of the playoffs, or we could potentially knock Philly out of the playoffs. I think there's a lot of storylines that could be built. This could be really built up.
That's fair, man. If it's for the division, going into Philly, could be.
That's gonna be a cold game too.
Yeah, how likely will this game decide the division, Brendan? Do you think?
I've looked at the schedule and I can see multiple different scenarios, but I think winning the division, I think this game could be key for that. But I think making the playoffs, I think Dallas will already have a spot by now. If we don't have one by now, we're still fighting. Something went bad, someone's hurt, or anything. And if that's the case, then this game will have a high case, and we probably won't win. So I think we are going to playoffs. But winning division, it all depends on what Philly team shows up. We already know we're okay, so it's pretty good in the regular season. So that's why we don't really care about what we do. So I think we'll already have the division lined up. But Philly could be good, or they'll have their 10-1 and then fall off the face of the earth again. Down. Yeah.
Would you be surprised if both teams had the same record going into this game?
No.
Not really.
Yeah. Mike, what do you think? Could this game decide the division? Or how likely do you think that is?
It could. I gotta see. Philly has on paper an easy schedule. So if they get off to a good start, as the tougher part of the schedule comes and more kind of rears his ugly head and Sirianni kind of again shows out that he's not, maybe he's a little bit overrated, and I think they could fall back. But if they start off like 7-1, early through an easier part of the schedule, then sure, we could have similar records.
Yeah. So the original question was, people love to compare Dak and Jalen Hurts. Where do you stand on that argument? That was for the guest, of course. The new question here is, if the Eagles win the division in 2024 and win more playoff games than Dallas in 2024, will Jalen Hurts take the lead over Dak in the quarterback rankings for you, Mike?
I don't do much team stuff. You guys know how I am. That the whole like Jimmy G and Rex Grossman made Super Bowls. I don't think Brock Purdy's as good as Dak. He's good, but I think his team is monstrous. I think Dallas team gets hyped up a lot, but aren't constructed as well as the others say. Dallas is in the 5 to 10 range, best teams, so they're well built. But then they run into the playoffs and run into San Francisco, even a Philly game. That's division, but I think Philly's roster is better. So it depends on how he plays. Like if he comes in and is an All-Pro again, if he's a top 5 MVP candidate, and they win, then yeah, you guys know me. After 2022, I had Hurts above Dak. After last year, Dak's back above Hurts. It just is what it is. I go year to year. Update your resume.
What about you, Brendan?
I completely agree with Mike. It all depends on how they're winning. Yeah. Because like some games, Dak had to put the team on their back, and that's like, oh, dude, look at this and that, and all that. And then some games, you're like, Jalen Hurts didn't have to do anything. Like they lost to the Jets. And it's because Jalen Hurts didn't do anything. Like, their team just didn't show up at all. It all depends on your winning. Saquon Barkley could be going off, and we're like, oh, well, the running game. Or the tush push, which requires almost no talent, got him, 10 rushing touchdowns? So, that's nothing. Dak's bigger body could do the same thing. Almost any quarterback could. Yeah, so, it all depends on how they play.
Yeah, kind of like you, Mike. I think it goes from year to year. I think it's safe to say that Dak is probably the better quarterback. But if Hurts were to have another long playoff run and have a bounce back year, I can see why people would move him above Dak in the rankings. And it'd be hard for me not to do the same thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you like the fit with Jalen Hurts and Kellen Moore's offense, Brendan?
No, I don't think almost any quarterback truly fits that system at all. No one's going to be able to run triple reverses, stop routes the entire game. There's some, like I've said many times, Kellen Moore has plays where they really work and you're like, dude, he's a genius. And then most of the time, I'm like, what the hell was that? They knew a stop route was coming. They knew that, or a drag route, or all these like stupid screens or run up the middle. So no, but I don't think any quarterback is.
What about you, Mike?
Weirds me out that people watched Moore leave Dak and Dak get better, and then they watched him go to Herbert, who all I heard was like, okay, now y'all going to see. And then Herbert got worse. And I'm like, this the guy you're bringing in? Like, he's a solid offensive coordinator. I like him. But you've got to, like, know the stop route depending on the coverage. You've got to throw it in there. Hurts is a good tight window passer, but he's not accurate. So and you miss on one shoulder or other. That year that Dak had a bunch of interceptions, miss on a shoulder, bounces off, boom, a little bit late, bounces off, goes, somebody picks it. Like that offense also sets up for, if you're not on time and on target, you could set yourself up for a lot of turnovers.
Yeah.
So I don't like that. I don't know why they went more. I don't know. I honestly don't know why they went more. I don't see how it meshes. So we'll see. Maybe he'll come up with something and maybe he evolves. He's a young guy maybe as a coordinator. Maybe he evolves.
I remember watching Kurt Warner break down a Dallas game when Kellen Moore was still the offensive coordinator, and he was like, he didn't understand why Dak is having to make so many tight window throws on like every single play, it seemed like.
It is. And in Philly's old offense, Hurts had to do the same thing, but as you saw, as teams got used to it and the windows got tighter, the offense got less effective. And I think Moore they'll have a lot of that same impact.
Yeah.
I'm going to say because no one else has. Last play, Kellen Moore as an offensive coordinator for Dallas. Zeke was at center. For the season, that's how we ended it.
That is one reason I'm glad Zeke's back.
Right.
I just remember. I forgot which linebacker. They just stared at Zeke. They're like, oh shit, I can go. He bulldozes Zeke, and Dak's like, oh shit.
Yeah, that was crazy to see, man, especially at the end of the game.
Yeah,
thank goodness that's not. Yeah, Zeke's final play as a Cowboy. Mike, do you like this matchup for the Cowboys?
Philly's got a good roster. I think Dak's great versus the division. I wouldn't say I like it. I don't dislike it. They're beatable. Dak kills his division, so I'm not going to say I like the matchup because that Philly's really talented, but I'm not afraid of it either.
Yeah, how about you, Brendan?
It's like it's 50-50. Like there's pros and cons to both sides. Like, oh, this could be a game Philly blows us out, and we're like, oh, like okay, we saw that, like they're talented, or we could dominate them. Where like whenever we had like 3 or 4 running backs score a touchdown in the game, and it could be like that, because it's the end of the season. Philly could be dominating. They're just sitting people the last 2 games, or we could be dominating. We're sitting people. So who knows?
One question I forgot to ask, so please forgive me, but. Brendan, Dallas has issues with cold weather games in the past, and they're playing away from home. Do the Cowboys have any advantage over the Eagles in this game?
No. Dak's the advantage.
Quarterback.
Yeah, but other than that, no.
Agreed.
Mike, would you agree with that? Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Do you like this? Who will win this game, Brendan?
Still Dallas. Like I think they're going to split one, but I'm never going to say Philly will win. I would like Philly to just, burn their team to the ground and like, oh, well, we have no stadium anymore. So.
Mike, how about you?
I have this weird thing about this year where, okay, like if you look at, I know we're over an hour, but if you look at the tenor, like while we're going through it, of Mike McCarthy, we're like, lost the Niners, second round, first round, blew it to the 7th seed Green Bay, and he just didn't have a good thing. And then, like, 10 years go by and you go back and look at the McCarthy-Dak time, and you go, well, they won 12 games, 3 straight. Like, they're the only ones to do that. They won a road playoff game, the first time since 1992. Like, they did a bunch of stuff that you're like, wow, this, they did do some stuff. Even though there wasn't ultimate success, they did do some stuff. And I have a weird feeling that this is going to be the team that is the first one to go back-to-back winning the division in however many it's been since like 2001 or whatever. It's been 20 years. Yeah. I think that's going to be this team. And in order to say that, I got to cement it by having them sweep Philly. So I'm going to pick them to win.
Yeah, again, I had Dallas winning this one as well. I think the game will have a lot on the line, and I think Dak will put the team on his back and win a tough road game and lock up the division. So Dallas wins. So right now, we all are 3-0 right now for the Cowboys, and here we are, Week 18 versus Commanders. This is the third year in a row the Cowboys are ending the season playing the Commanders. Is this matchup wired or tired, Brenden?
It doesn't. It's Week 18. Every team plays a divisional opponent, so it's not nothing crazy. Would you like to see maybe the Giants instead of like Week 1 games? I know we're not playing them in Week 1 this year, but like maybe change it up like that, maybe. But it's whatever.
What about Eleazar?
But yeah,
Mike, what about you? Is this matchup wired or tired for you?
It's tired, but it's typically because it's backups playing most of the time. Week 18, I kind of expect that this time too. So, yeah,
I would say tired just because this is the third year in a row. However, I'm interested to see what the Commanders look like this year, and we'll talk about it here in a little bit. But I think this matchup could have a lot more on the line than maybe we all want it to be. So I'm going to go wired only because of the new look Commanders. With the new coaching staff and promising rookie quarterback, is it time to start taking the Commanders seriously, or do they have a ways to go before they should be taken seriously, Mike?
Taken seriously as like a contender for the division? No, we don't have to take them seriously for that. Take them seriously within the 2 games we play them. Yeah, that'll be something. I don't like how their defensive players match up versus us. I don't think they can beat us, their strength versus our strength offensively. But Dan's going to know some stuff. He's going to play. They're going to play for him. Want him to win in these 2 games. I think that by the time this one comes around, I think it's going to be resting time. But we got to see. Maybe we have the 1 seed and they want to play some, so they don't have 2 weeks off. So I just don't think this one will. But the game before that, that one will be rough. You got to take them a little seriously in the one-on-one matchup.
What about you, Brenden? Do you think it's time to take the Commanders seriously, or is it going to be a while before we take them seriously?
They have to show this year. They're a completely different organization this year.
Yeah.
From top to bottom. This is not like, of course, Terry McLaurin's there and all that. So they have, of course, have talent. But no, you got to show me first.
Right. That's fair. Looking at the Cowboys schedule, can you see a scenario where this is a must-win game for Dallas to get into the playoffs, Brenden?
To get into the playoffs?
Yeah.
I would pray to God not. Yeah. I don't think so. There's no way by Week 18. Oh, dude, I don't want to be stressed out in a Week 18 game. I don't see that, no.
Mike, you know what it is. If it is, something's happened to
someone's
one of the main players. I'm not going to say it out loud, but.
When I wrote this question a couple weeks ago, I started thinking about it, and I was like, this is an interesting question, but at the same time, the more and more I thought about it, I'm like, I hate how realistic this is to me. And I don't know if, I know there's a lot of scenarios to where this could be possible, but even without a major injury, just with the way the schedule is lined up, I could see the Cowboys kind of controlling their own destiny in this game, and I don't like that at all.
I think division possibly. I don't think playoffs. I don't think there's 7 teams that are going to be above them. Dallas they may not have done much, but they still got a quarterback who's an all-pro, second MVP, never had a losing season, healthy. They have a pretty what could be a pretty good offensive line if the young guys step up. They got wide receivers. They got Fergie. Their defense, they have the best defensive player in the league, possibly the best defensive end that stops the run in the league. Kendricks is a solid running back. They have 2 all-pro corners. Like, there's no excuse for this team not to win 10 games and be at least a 5, 6, 7 seed. Now, division, because of how good Eagles could be, is a different story. But they should be in the playoffs by week 18.
Okay, but hear me out though, right? You look at the NFC, you're thinking Philly's going to be in the playoffs, right? San Francisco's going to be in the playoffs. The Lions are going to be in the playoffs. And then it
I'd say Packers.
kind of opens up a little bit, right?
Maybe.
Packers are going to be in the playoffs. Who? Maybe the Bears?
Packers. But, I mean, after that 4, like Dallas is in
Atlanta, right?
Easily. I mean, you're looking Rams. Yeah.
Rams for sure, I think. And
You
the
also guys said a team
Cardinals.
in the NFC South. You also guys said what team did you just say?
The Cardinals.
No.
I got no.
their quarterback's
Are you
terrible.
serious? You don't think
Dude,
the Cardinals are going to make the
awful.
playoffs?
Okay, they
Bro,
beat
you're
us last
crazy.
year, but that's just because we played terrible with the worst
Do you
offensive
mean
scheme I've ever
the
seen in my life.
Arizona Cardinals?
Dude,
I'd be
no
I'm
shot.
willing to make a bet right now that the Arizona Cardinals make the playoffs this year.
Are you talking about? Do you mean like
Yes,
in the division
Kyler
with
Murray-led
Niners,
Arizona
Rams,
Cardinals
the
with
Arizona
Marvin Harrison
Cardinals?
Jr. Yeah,
I wouldn't make a bet that they get to 500.
you're insane, dude.
There are 3
Yeah.
teams in their division, but all 3 of those teams could make the playoffs.
I don't think they
if
could
Gino
be-
plays normal.
I don't know if they could. I mean, San Francisco's better. Rams are better. They're probably better than Seattle. We're much better than Arizona. They always beat us, but we're a better team. That's a matchup thing. Eagles are better. Green Bay's better. Detroit's better. And then an NFC South team has to make it. But I would even say Tampa and Atlanta are better than Arizona. What in Kyler Murray's history would make you think he could take anybody anywhere?
What Call of Duty clip have you seen that he won in like Warzone or something?
Well, I mean,
to
he
make you think that?
legitimately is a bad quarterback. Like, he's a bad quarterback. He's not a good quarterback. He doesn't. There are people literally they had to put like, dude, you got to study in the contract. Like, and you could see it as the year goes on. Every year they would start off quick with Cliff Kingsbury, and then there would be no adjustment. And a lot of that has to do with coach, but a lot of that has to do with QB too. And then I just don't like, who do they have defend like Buda Baker? But he's probably traded. My guess would be Buda Baker gets traded at some point soon. I don't know. I don't see Arizona. Arizona's more battling for bottom of the NFC West than Arizona. Kyler Murray, you don't mean a different team?
No, I'm serious. I think that Cardinals are at least the second best team in that division.
Over the Rams?
I think they're tied with the Rams, and I wouldn't be surprised if they beat the Rams, had a better record than the Rams in 2024.
Who do they? Okay, I'm trying to think who they have. Is DeAndre Hopkins still their main receiver? Is he?
Marvin Harrison Jr. Zay
Yeah, I'm not
Jones,
there.
Love him. I was thinking of not rookies, but yeah, Marvin
Trey
Harrison.
McBride,
I like
Michael
McBride.
Wilson,
Who?
James Conner, Trey Benson.
Well, I mean, Benson's better than Connor. Connor's kind of a.
Their O-line's not
Connor's
good.
older,
Who's
but
their
he's
O-line,
solid,
though?
bro.
And then, like, you're gonna double.
They built their
Harrison.
O-line up the last 2 or 3 drafts.
I don't know, man. They're
Okay,
Man.
let's make a deal. You don't think they'll be 500, right?
Yeah, I don't think they'll be 500. That would be my guess is that they don't win 8 games.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say this. Let's just say $20 or like a bottle, and if they make the playoffs, it's you pay me double. How about that?
That's fair. If
And if they don't make
go-
500, then I'll buy you 2 bottles or a bottle and $20 or something.
Yeah, we'll make it work. We'll do something easy.
We'll work out the logistics later.
Mine is they'll be less than 8 wins. Yours is they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Dang, dude.
Well, no, I said better than 500, but if they make the playoffs, it would have to be double.
Okay.
Okay, that's what you're talking about. Okay,
That's fair,
what you're
right?
talking about.
Yeah, that's fair.
I can't believe y'all think the Cardinals are that bad, dude. That's crazy to me.
What have they shown you?
I have them in like the bottom 8 teams in the NFC. Like they're Giants, Panthers.
You're kidding me. Oh, I thought you were saying that those teams are better than the Cardinals.
No, these are the bottom ones.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
they're in that bottom 5 to 7. They're terrible.
This means? We're gonna have a Cardinals watch every time we come out on the show.
Yeah, that's crazy. I gotta look at the Cardinals schedule. Go ahead and finish up. I'm gonna look at the Cardinals schedule right now.
You know, this is another question, man, that I thought about a lot. Brenden, I'm curious to have your thoughts on this, but could this be Dak's last game as a Cowboy?
No, because we'll be in the playoffs.
Well, I mean, let me just say last regular season game as a Cowboy. How about that?
I know we'll talk about the whole Lamb thing, but if they start doing some really stupid stuff, Dak has no reason to come back. I know he's a loyal dude, and he's a really respectable, loyal dude. There's no reason to come back here. Dude, Carlos, you gotta be here, dude. We're gonna be doing that every time. One person's gonna get really nervous towards the end of the year.
Derek Brown, bird watching. That's the name of the episode right there.
A hard bird watch with Derek Brown.
I see 5-6 wins for Arizona.
You're kidding me, dude.
So I definitely will take the under 8. That schedule's not fun either.
Well, none of us hope it is, Carlos. But if they start doing some more malpractice than what they already are, then yeah, Dak's gone. And
if I'm Dak, give me the reason other than I love Dallas and I'm coming back. The team hasn't shown they could field a Super Bowl contender. And then you look at this year, like they're making like, oh, we went all in the last few years, like Niners, Eagles, and all these teams did, and now we got to recoup it up. Like, no, you didn't. You didn't go. You had Marquise Bell at linebacker last year. Noah Brown was your wide receiver 2 years ago. What are we doing? Like, there was no all in. And they, the Bills come too now. Got it? No. So I don't. I want Cardinals, man. I'm not going to be mad if Dak signed with the Cardinals after this
year. Mike, do you think this is Dak's last regular season game as a Cowboy?
No, I've maintained that they'll have a deal done in the first 2 weeks of training camp. I think they have already got stuff set. I think they're just waiting on timing to announce it. I think that shit's already done.
One thing that was kind of encouraging to me, and this might be weird, but you know how like they have the schedule release videos, and the Cowboys, Dak was there, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't feel like he would have done that if there was some weird tension or like any sort of disrespect felt between him and the Cowboys front office.
Yeah, I think it's a weird money thing that they're waiting, a money and attention thing, and they're gonna wait to want to steal the headlines. The way Lakers did from Boston in Game 1 when they fired the coach, like they knew what they were doing. You wait until, or was it the firing of the coach or when they started talking about that coach from UConn? It was one of those two things, but they dropped like a huge bomb on Game 1 of the finals because it's Boston and Lakers want to show it up. I think the deal's done and it'll be announced in the first week or two of training camp. It's just me.
Yes, sir. Mike, do you like this matchup for the Cowboys?
If they're playing, sure.
Yeah.
But I don't think they'll be playing their guys, so no. I think it'll be Trey Lance, throw into Luke Schoonmaker and Jalen Brooks. So, yeah, probably not a great matchup.
What about you, Brenden?
I want to say, because I'm going to think the Cowboys are playing for nothing in this game, but I just want to do it. Turpin has a massive game, and we somehow win just because, you know what? F it.
I like that. Who will win this game, Mike?
Yeah. Well, Commanders, they'll be back. You know, the Dallas backups will lose. I need a haircut.
Yeah. Brenden?
I won't say Dallas will win because, like I said, like my rule, but I feel like we're going to end up losing probably the first game against Washington because Dallas has no clue what the Commanders are. And also, rookie Heisman mobile quarterback against us again. So, yeah.
Yeah, this game could go either way. My gut is telling me Dallas loses this one. So let's do the record recap for the show. I had the Cowboys going 3-1. Mike, you had the Cowboys going 3-1, and Brenden, it sounded like you had the Cowboys going 4-0.
Oh yeah, what's up? Okay.
Yes, sir. All right. Record recap for the season. I initially, when we did our original, schedule breakdown, I had the Cowboys going, I believe, 11-6. I snuck a win in there after doing the show and looking over the schedule again. So I had the Cowboys at 12-5 for the season. Mike, what about you?
I wrote it down as 11-6, but when I go through the games, I feel like it was a 12-5 on my picks. Yeah, I want to say I have it as 12-5.
How about you, Brenden?
I have between 10 to 12. I can see almost all these games. My brain goes, what Dallas team is going to show up? Because, you know, there's always going to be a game Dallas is going to win that they shouldn't. And there's going to be a game everyone's like, okay, Dallas is going to cakewalk. Why are we down by 15? And
is Mike at Disneyland?
Yeah. A manhunt for Mike Crum.
That's fair. All right, man. Well, I enjoyed the episode tonight, guys. It was fun getting all back together. We kind of went off the rails there, you know, looking at close to an hour and a half for the show. But that's usually what happens when we all get together.
Yeah, it's been a minute. We need to have some fun, and I needed some fun. This last 2 weeks has been a lot of heavy work especially for somebody that's on disability. So it's been rough.
Yeah, we need Mike to talk more about Derek Brown. We need Mike to talk more about Derek Brown.
Yep. I want to say thank you to Carlos Edwards, man, for tuning in and hanging out, man. Appreciate that. And of course, Eleazar Mendoza for joining us as well. Mike, before we get you out of here, where can we find you on X?
At hardest man in town. Letter C, letter D, Piglet, guys. Nice and easy.
Brenden, where can we find you, sir?
You can find me at Brenden_Smith26.
Guys, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on X at Paul_Ryan15. We appreciate you joining us, and we will see you guys next week.